Hello and welcome to The Green Pretenders.
A sustainably challenged podcast.
My name is Simon.
And I'm Sian, and we are still in lockdown.
Still clinging on to every bit of sanity that we have.
My main question for you, Simon, is are you still in your cupboard, in your wardrobe?
I am. And you know what? I actually organised all my shirts according to the Marie Kondo, going from light colours to dark colours, and then also getting shorter towards the right, because that's apparently lifting your mood. And it's very pleasant to look at.
That's genius. So you've now got a fashionable makeshift recording studio.
Yes, exactly.
And does it spark joy?
It does spark joy. Although I have realised that I get very angry these days, randomly.
With the world?
With the world, with myself, with other people. I was queuing for the supermarket today, and it's just not a good idea to go shopping in the morning, I think, because a lot of people think, oh, you know, I'm an early bird and no one else is. So I was with all the early birds in a queue, and it was not fun, and I got very angry, and then I had to tell myself, you know, don't be angry with people looking at their phones and not moving on in the queue, because 20 minutes later I did the same thing. I looked at my phone and didn't realise that the queue was moving on, and I was like, you're such a douchebag.
A little bit of internalised rage at people queuing incorrectly. I think that's a perfectly forgivable thing.
Yeah. And I think it's important to accept your emotions as well.
Yeah.
Because we can't just push them away and be like, it's fine, you know, everything is fine, I'm great.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you coping?
I am trying to learn every country of the world. That's my lockdown challenge.
It's such a great challenge. I love that.
Well, I'm using Sporkle, and I've also really enjoyed learning about cultures and areas of the planet that we live on that I'd never even heard of before. It's great. And actually, some of it has come out as being very relevant to our podcast, because I have been learning about these small island countries that I'd never heard of before, like a country called, what's it called? Hold on, let me go into my mind palace. It's called Tuvalu.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, and that is in Oceania, and it's tiny. It's the fourth smallest nation on Earth.
Oh, wow.
I think I read that they've got about like 10 or 11,000 people. But it's one of the places in the world that is really at risk of essentially disappearing because of the climate change.
Yeah.
Because it's such a small island and the sea levels are rising. So I'm learning the countries, but I'm also trying to better my knowledge in general. And that has been really a good way of spending time. I'd recommend it. Get on Sporkle.
Yeah, I think it's such a good thing. And because we're so, attached to our phones anyway, that you could think that, you know, we're becoming our phones, crawling into them, why not use it to, go on Wikipedia instead of Instagram?
Exactly. And that's what started me off on it, because I found that I was waking up and the first thing I was doing was going on Twitter in bed. And I didn't even want to be on Twitter, but it was just something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I realised that if I've got an impulse to open something on my phone, maybe instead of fighting that impulse, I should ride with it, but find a way to be productive with it.
And you're doing something that is fun.
It is fun, yeah. Do you ever think that as adults we've forgotten the joy of learning? And I feel like a child again. I feel excited to kind of learn new things, which I don't always feel in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Have you set yourself any lockdown challenges?
Not yet, actually. I've been thinking about it. I've actually started to do YouTube workouts,
Ooh.
which has been amazing. And I am quite active, but I'm not one of those people. I don't go to the gym. And I never used to do high-intensity training. I'm quite, chilled about it.
Mm.
And I've never really done hardcore workouts unless it was, you know, in a class or things like that. But now I've discovered Pop Sugar Fitness, and they do kind of dancey workouts, like flat belly, tight bum, something like that.
Do you do it in the mirror? Can you see yourself?
So I can see myself from the side, like I have on my door, I have a mirror and I can see myself in it. And the other day I put on these cycling shorts.
Ooh.
So, you know, it's like really tight bum, and I was just like, oh yeah, Look at me doing that ridiculous workout. It's just a bit of fun, yeah, but it made me laugh.
What's it called? Pop sugar.
Pop sugar, yeah.
It's so sassy.
Yeah, they're great. There's a Latin cardio one, I think, and hip hop. I'm always terrified of hip hop, but it's actually really good fun.
Yeah, God, there's nothing like letting yourself go and dancing.
Yeah.
And especially if there's no one else watching you, you know, with a YouTube video in the comfort of your own home, you can really go to town, bust some moves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did realize last episode I was really like chirpy and like, oh, you know, I'm actually fine. I'm actually feeling great. But I think sometimes I'm also lying to myself a little bit. And maybe I have to.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, sometimes I put on a shirt and I'm like, ooh, you know, loving this. This is great. And then the next moment I'm like, I need a drink. This is all for nothing. I can't even go out. Like, what is life?
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then I have a shower and I'm like, oh, I feel so refreshed. I'm going to have a coffee now. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so bored. So yeah, it's like I'm feeling all the emotions, but
Peaks and troughs, isn't it?
it really is, yeah.
Well, I think, you know, indulge in a drink. That's my number one rule of this situation. And I'm taking that rule very seriously, girl. I have been drinking a lot and I really enjoy it. So
yeah. And as long as it makes you feel good, even if it's in the moment, even if you feel kind of crap the next day, at least you've got a hangover to focus on.
Exactly. Hangovers can be quite a good focal point for your day. It gives you something to overcome, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
We're not really giving very wholesome advice here, are we? But I think what we're trying to say overall is however you want to spend your time, whatever your impulses are, it's all right.
Yeah, it really is.
I feel like we should probably talk about our raison d'etre. Is that a thing? Did I just make that up? That's a French thing, isn't it?
It is a French thing.
Yeah.
But I never really know what it means.
Yeah, the minute I said it, I realised I didn't know what it meant either, but it felt right. Doesn't it mean your mission?
I think so.
Okay, let's just pretend I've used it perfectly. We're going to talk about our raison d'etre a bit, because we've just rambled a lot about lockdown in general, but we do want to be green pretenders.
Yes.
So I've made a list, Simon, a little list of 6 things that I've been thinking about in terms of lowering our environmental impact in the house, around the house.
Amazing.
And these are all very everyday, obvious things, because that's how we roll. But it's always good to just remind ourselves of the small things, isn't it? So coming in at number 1 is the old classic, turn your bloody lights off. And I think when you're spending way, way more time at home, you end up inhabiting your whole house a bit more, if that makes sense. Because I feel like usually maybe you come home from work and you'll be in the lounge to watch television, and then you come in the kitchen to make food, and then you go into your bedroom to go to bed, for example. Whereas in lockdown, it feels like you can be everywhere at once because you're just roaming around. And I think lights can be left on because you just go from one room to another, and then you'll realise that all the lights are on in the house. At least that's what I'm realising. Yeah. So yeah, lights.
I couldn't agree more. That has always been one of my pet peeves, and I do catch myself as well sometimes, and I'm like, oh, Simon, you left the bloody light on. And yeah, so turn your lights off 100%. Also, it's getting lighter, and sometimes it's actually quite nice to be in a room and realise, oh, it's getting dark, and then only turning the light on when it's actually dark.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, get that change of light. Yeah, it must sound like I'm super bored, but I just noticed these kind of things.
No, it is lovely seeing the light stream through the window and seeing it change. Yeah. So at the very least, we need to be turning off our lights when we're not in a room.
Yeah.
And if you can go further, try and forego the electric light altogether and just see how natural light can aid you.
Cool. What's number 2?
Number 2 is stop leaving things on charge.
Yes.
So this is relevant in general, but I think mainly this is a message for the people working from home, because we've now got our makeshift office spaces, and I think the temptation is to sit with your laptop on charge the whole time. It's just charging as you work.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't need to be doing that. So if that's you, maybe make sure that when your battery's full, you're just going off the laptop battery. You don't need to have it plugged into the mains all hours of the day.
Absolutely.
And I'm equally guilty of leaving a phone charger on. If my phone's not plugged into it, it's still on at the wall, and I should just turn it off at the switch all the time.
And you know what, Sean? I'm going to do exactly that right now, because I had my laptop plugged in, but I think it's charged now, so I'm just going to reach and turn it. Not sure if you could hear that click, but that's the click you want to hear.
I could. That was lovely. Such a satisfying click.
Yeah. No, I'm so guilty of that as well. And our electricity is bulb, which is renewable.
Lovely.
Which is great. So we have a meter, so we actually know exactly how much money we're using, how much electricity and how much money we're paying for it. And our use has gone up. So I think I'm gonna have a little tour around the flat, and see what maybe I can unplug or switch off.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Treat it like a little audit. Like take 5 or 10 minutes out of your day and just wander around your entire property and make sure you're actually aware of what you've got plugged in and where. Because I think nowadays we often forget we might have an extension cable with 6 million things plugged into it that aren't even in use every day.
Yeah.
And we just kind of leave it going. So yeah, do a 5-minute audit of your mains electrics and see what could be switched off.
Yeah. And pay attention to the tiny little lights. And if you can see a little light, but that thing is not turned on, there shouldn't be any light.
Yeah. Alrighty, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in at number 3, I'm trying to do different accents, but I don't think it's working very well. Coming in at number 3 is a small one, but it's reusing your mugs and water cups throughout the day. This probably is an obvious one for some people, but I personally find that I'm really bad at leaving a cup somewhere and then forgetting that I've left it. So then I'll just go and get a new glass out and pour myself a new glass of water. So at any given time, maybe I've got like 3 or 4 cups of water on the go, just spread across the flat. And it's a waste of water, and it's also a waste of the washing up and the energy of the dishwasher, because ultimately you're ending up with way more cups and glasses and things than you really need to use. So just keep your mug and your cup and reuse them throughout the day. Yes,
absolutely. And on that note, if you do find that a glass of water has been sitting there for a couple of days and you're like, oh, I'm not going to drink that, am I? Give it to your plants. They don't mind, and that's actually what I've been doing.
That is such a good idea.
Yeah, saving water.
I don't know why I've never thought of that. That's a genius idea, Simon.
Mm.
And also, quick aside, I assumed that it would be more energy and water efficient to wash up by hand than to use the dishwasher. So I was going to add to this tip the idea that maybe we could sporadically wash up by hand. But having looked into it, a modern working dishwasher is actually more efficient on your water levels than washing up by hand.
Yeah.
And obviously if something's really not very dirty, you could just kind of give it a quick rinse in the sink and save the space in the dishwasher. But in general, dishwashers are good to go.
They are energy efficient, aren't they? And they use less water. Just be mindful to use an ecologically friendly dishwasher tablet.
Mm-hmm.
They are out there. There's also some that you can make yourself.
You can make your own dishwasher tablets.
Yes, you can. Yeah, I've seen a recipe. I haven't tried it because I don't have a dishwasher. But I also know that my parents have recently, or maybe not so recently, started using a biodegradable dishwasher thingy made of wheat, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great, that's a good one to research. Okay, number 4, similarly, because we're not out and about as much and presumably not doing as much movement in our clothes, it's unlikely that our clothes need washing as often as they would have done otherwise. So, you can get away with wearing a pair of jeans for a week, if not more, I think, in this context. Basically, just don't do as much washing as you would do normally.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair way of saving a bit of energy, saving a bit of water. Be a bit more of a slob,
Exactly. And you also, it's better for your clothes. Some people even say that you should never wash jeans, which I'm kind of like, but don't they start to smell? And then there's like the freezer technique where you put them in the freezer if they start to smell. But I think a little bit of washing might be good. but not as much because it wears out your clothes, and also if there's plastic in the clothes, then the more you wash them, the more plastic actually gets in the wastewater and in the ocean.
The microplastics.
The microplastics, yeah.
Good. Okay, moving on swiftly to number 5. This one is about how we're spending our time, because obviously we're all a bit bored and idle. But the temptation might be to go straight onto Amazon, get that Amazon Prime free trial, and get a next day delivery of, arts and crafts supplies or a puzzle or whatever. But before we do that, I think we need to really dig into every last corner of our homes, of our rooms, the drawers, the cupboards.
Yeah.
What have you got that you've forgotten about that could be a really good use of your time? You might have a puzzle that you got 3 years ago for Christmas from Auntie Barbara and you forgot to ever do it. It might be sitting at the bottom of your cupboard unused, and you could get that out and spend your time with that instead of buying new. So let's not panic buy things to entertain ourselves with. Let's first of all exhaust every option within our homes.
Totally, I could not agree more. And also, maybe it's time to join a community WhatsApp group or Facebook group to share things. Obviously, at a distance, non-contact, passing on things, and make sure that you maybe wipe it down before you receive it. But I think it's a good idea to reach out and see maybe someone has a puzzle,
right,
that they are willing to give it to you, because you're only going to do it once and then you can give it back. So
pool those resources, people, pool those resources. Yeah. And then bringing up the rear at number 6, this is one for people who have gardens only, so I'm out of the running for this one. But if you do have a garden, this could be a perfect opportunity, if you haven't already, to grow your own food.
Absolutely.
Take this opportunity to plant some seeds for some tomatoes or strawberries or whatever you fancy. You've got maybe a bit more time on your hands, and being outside is important, and gardening does a lot for your mental health. So there's a myriad reasons why this is a good time to get your green fingers going.
Absolutely. And you can also do that if you have a balcony. You'd be surprised at what you can grow on even a tiny balcony. If you have a little bit of space to hang something up or put it on the railing, or, green it up.
Have you got anything on the go?
No. Well, actually, I got some chili seeds from Oaxaca, which now's the perfect time to plant them and see what grows. I have stepped up my planting game, as I think you could see a little bit on our social media, but so I'm definitely tending more to the plants that I have. I took some cuttings a while ago, and they're growing really nicely. And it gives me a lot of joy. And, it's kind of, you can practice your mindfulness gardening skills.
Dreamy.
Yeah, and I think I'm so, obsessed with the phrase, attention is love. If we pay attention to something, that is love. And so whether it's your cooking or your morning routine or your clothes or, the house, or it could be anything that you do it paying attention to it and focusing on it. And it's just so much more satisfying, because that's doing things with love.
I love it. So in quick summary, turn off your lights, don't leave things on charge, reuse your mugs and glasses, don't do your washing so much, use what you have around you instead of buying things on Amazon, and get out in your gardens.
Lovely, that's amazing. Such a good compilation.
And all this positive energy leads us very nicely into our Eco Whoops.
Eco Whoop! Yes, and it's 2 again this episode. Sian, what's your first Eco Whoop?
My first Eco Whoop is an app that has been recommended to me by our wonderful friends of the podcast, Shaz and Gigi. They are 2 absolutely superhero women, and they've recommended an app to me called Komoot, Komoot, and it gives you really good routes for hiking and biking in your local area. So it could be a good way to shake up your one exercise a day. If you're getting a bit bored of the same routes, it could kind of open you up to places in your local area that you haven't come across before and bring a bit of excitement into your daily outing. Komoot app.
Sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to get that. My first one is scientists, I think all over the world, have discovered bacteria that is eating plastic. And when I read that, I was just so excited about it. We don't quite know what it means for now, but they're working on it, and it's definitely different groups in different parts of the world that have sort of made similar discoveries. And I think that's very exciting.
That's so great. Oh, what's my second one? It's not going to be as good as that. Oh, I've got one. I've got a good one. Bigging up all my friends' input here. I have another friend who has started a low carbon lifestyle vlog. His name is Tom Bray, and if you search on YouTube low carbon lifestyle Tom Bray, hopefully that would bring it up. He's an engineer and he's a very clever man, so his advice is much more scientific and mathematic than ours. So whereas we talk about lifestyle in a very easy way, Tom's more about the facts and the figures, and at the moment he's encouraging us all to calculate our own carbon footprints. So yeah, check out his vlog, Low Carbon Lifestyle.
Nice. I'm definitely going to check that out. I think it is, it's so good to have that side as well. We really rely on that.
Yes.
Us two jabbering away.
Yeah.
My second one is, we have done this before, but another shout out to Who Gives a Crap.
Yes.
Because I think they're amazing. And their toilet paper is sold out. And I think that is a massive eco whoop, actually, because it's recycled, it's no plastic packaging, and you buy in bulk. And also, I think they're just an amazing company because they also donated thousands of toilet paper rolls, I think in Australia. So they're doing a good thing, and I'm just so excited that a company like that would be having good business at the moment, because after this is all over, people might realize, that's I really like their product, and it's good for the planet.
That would be such a great silver lining, wouldn't it, if a habit embeds post lockdown. Someone thought that they were doing something just to get them through this time, but actually it becomes part of their normal life. And if Who Gives a Crap toilet roll is one of those things, then epic win.
Yeah.
Wow, so much positivity. And yeah, we're not doing eco poops in lockdown because ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
So we're keeping it light, keeping it positive.
Yeah, and I feel really good after this. This has definitely made me a lot more positive. Not just the eco whoops, but they always do make me feel good.
Well, it's been a joy.
It has been.
If you're listening, you can find us on social media at Green Pretenders. And also this time, for the first time, I think we're going to ask you to please like and subscribe if that's something that you can do.
Yes, please. If you can, leave a review on iTunes or wherever you can leave a review. And like and subscribe.
Yes, indeed. But for now, we'll leave you to your hopefully peaceful quarantine time. Just remember,
the pod is always greener.
Green, 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 pretend.